Hey everyone, welcome to Between the Lines with Chris Curran. I'm your host, and today I'm speaking with the historic coach of the New England Razorbacks, one of my favorite coaches and dads of all time, Coach Rob Brown.
Hey, how you doing, Chris? Thanks for the intro. Yeah.
Good, man. How's everything?
Good yourself, man. How's the family?
Dude, everyone's good. Cole's asleep, so that's usually the time I'll record these, is anytime after 8 p.m.
There
Eastern
you go.
Standard Time, and kind of
Well
got
past
some
that bedtime.
availability.
There you go.
I know, seriously, man. You usually wake up early too, huh?
Yeah. Usually bed early, except during practice time. Then I'm up to like 9, 10 o'clock. But that
Yeah.
goes. Yeah.
Yeah. How's everyone in the family doing?
Good, doing good, doing good. Living the life, living happy. Yeah.
That's all you can ask for.
Yep.
That's all you can ask for. Some of the little things.
Yep. Exactly.
So you have, I know it's tough to explain it in one session, but your coaching path is such an interesting journey, and I actually loved it. So I jumped into coach and train with you. Can you tell us a little bit about your coaching past or some of your favorite things about coaching in general?
I mean, that's a tough question. I mean, my coaching path is very simple. When you stop being able to play, you learn to coach a little bit, and I enjoy it. So I just got into it. I got into it with being thrown in there with maybe guys that didn't know anything about baseball. So I jumped in, started coaching. Um, before travel ball was really travel. So coaching the little leagues and the Babe Ruth leagues, and then I got into coaching travel.
Was one of the reasons that you started coaching or got back into coaching because of Butter?
Um, so I kind of had like two spurts. Like I coached. And then when Butter was born, like most people, I kind of took a little bit of a break. And then I got paid to coach. I got hired to coach at a facility, doing lessons and coaching, and then kind of stuck with it. Butter was about 3 or 4 at the time, so then I just started coaching from there. But no, a lot of it had to do with I love baseball, and the travel ball just started to become big, so I was able to jump in.
Yeah, I've always just seen you kind of have that coach's mentality, because that was actually one of the questions when you had started the Razorbacks. I remember one of the parents asking, because Butter was getting into that age where, in 2 to 3 years, are you
100%.
going to have a 17 and 18-year-old team? Is he going to age out, and that original Razorbacks team going to age out? Are you still going to have a program then? It was a question that kind of showed people were looking at the long run, like they wanted to be here for 3, 4, and 5 years. But it was also just something that maybe we hadn't even discussed all that much, because we were still so caught up in the moment of you starting the Razorbacks and me kind of coming on as a trainer, and then a year later becoming a coach with you.
Yeah, I think that definitely was a question that came up a lot because a lot of mom and pop type programs, jumped around and people would start a team and then their kid would stop playing and next thing you know, the other 12 kids on the team had no place to go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, where with Buddy's team, listen, Buddy's team was just special, right? I mean, but I kind of look at it that we had other generations, so to speak. We had the Cam Harris and Pat's team and, the Hendo and Fugazi's team. So a lot of times with the Razorbacks say, it was like, all right, I'm going to stay here until that bottom group's ages out, you
Yeah.
know. And, with Buddy's team was the older team, which was great. But I can actually say it was weird, man. And I think I'm one of the only dad coaches that might say this is I loved all the players as much as I loved my kid, so
Yeah.
I gave the same dedication to say Hendo's team as I did to Buddy's team. So there was never a doubt that I was going to stay until they were done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we had some really great teams. I know that's easy to say at the moment, but even looking back, you look at the relationships that you build with the parents and even the players, like
Still,
still talk to the players. And
mm,
it's weird now because some of the, like, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you can see all them having, but now some of them are at the age where they're getting Facebook, which is typically an older kind of platform. But I'm friends with some of the players on Facebook,
yeah,
and
no,
it's
they,
amazing to watch them grow.
like me and you are a couple group chats with, what we call retired Razorbacks. I mean, those kids are
Hmm.
25, 26 years old, you know, And it's like when we talk to them, I know at least when I talk to them, it's kind of still like they're 12 or 13, man. I'm ready to smack them half the time. Some of the stuff they do, right? And it doesn't change. Like I look back at some of those things and they still call us coach. Man, they're 26, 27 years old, and
Yeah,
you referred as coach. And Pat Sheen, player that hasn't played for me for what, 8 years, 7 years, texted me the other day calling me coach. Yeah,
yeah.
that's huge. I don't think a lot I don't think a lot of coaches get that. I don't think a lot of coaches live like that.
I think a lot of people outside of the norm, especially if you take a lot of pride in being a coach and not just doing the X's and O's or offense or defense, things like that. That's something that translate that it's more than just being on the field. It's something off the field too. When they're calling you coach, that's like mentor. It's such a sign of respect in our world. It's kind of like being called sir.
100%. 100%.
Because it's crazy to think that someone 8 years later is going to call you coach, and it's them still looking up to you in that fashion of that level of respect.
It is. That's why I take coaching so serious, right? That's why some, some coaches don't like being around me for that because I call them out on it. I take coaching very serious. I mean, there's a couple of things in this life that I value, and that's one of them. Being a real baseball coach is so much more than just winning a trophy. I mean, we both got hundreds of trophies in our garage,
Yeah.
right? But the most important thing is for that player to call you coach when he's in a jam, or he just got drafted, or he just, graduated college, or something momental in his life that, a lot of coaches don't get. A lot of coaches just see the X's and O's of the good players, not all the players. You know what I mean?
Especially with some of the teams that, maybe we just had that honor of building building it and then selecting some of the players, and then you even lose some good players. And one of the thing I always say too is it doesn't matter how good you are. If you can't play nicely with the other boys and girls, you can't be here. So it was like we were willing to take a player that maybe wasn't as good, but was a Razorback, rather than that top kid in the top town that just didn't really fit in, or their parents didn't, which is always a tough factor too when parents ruin it for the kid.
Parents do. I mean, it's one of the things I loved about us was we made kids cool in a lot of ways. We took a kid that maybe didn't have a lot of friends, right? Maybe got picked on at school, or maybe just something. And when he came into our facility, he was cool. Like this kids that I know that hung out with kids and became friends with kids that didn't do stuff, you know, next thing you know, they're buddies because of us. And I strongly
Hmm.
believe me and you had a lot to do with it. Of that combination that me and you both have, like with you know, with my toughness, and at that time I was the only dad, and your swag and your understanding of the kids nowadays and speaking their language. I think we turned that into of you're cool here. You're a dude. And I think we did that,
I
you know.
think it was something that, and I don't blame them at the time. I don't think it was seen by many parents. I think some of them saw what we were trying to do. And I've had this discussion before, um, that it was mainly about building something special. It wasn't about trying to get all 12 to 14 kids per roster to go pro, because that's never going to
Yeah.
happen. I mean, how many best kids in their town have you seen or heard of year after year? And you're just surprised to see where they finish off. But then you have that player that always worked hard, was maybe on the B team, that ended up playing college baseball.
Yep. 100%. That's what it's about. Again, that's where I think me and you had something special. It's something that I never see duplicated, to be honest. I mean, what we created and what we did was special. Like, especially nowadays, again, me still coaching. I try to see that, and I try to rebuild that. It ain't easy. It ain't easy with travel ball nowadays. It's changed. It's changes so much in the past 20 years that it's not the players, it's the parents that changed. Yeah.
Yeah, because the kids are the kids.
Kids are kids, man. I'm still the same dude as like same coach as I was, man. I still come down on the kids and they get it, and sometimes the parents get it.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
that one of the things because you had seen so much of town ball, so much of mom and pop shops kind of opening up, what was one of the main reasons you wanted to start your own thing? What made you want to start the Razorbacks when you had been successful maybe working at other places? And
I'll
it's
tell
because
you,
it's a huge risk,
it-
like there's a lot.
I'll tell you the exact day that I decided to start Razorbacks. I was working at another facility. I was making decent money. Um, I was running the AAU program over there, and me, you, Onyx, Santiago's were all in a room, right? So we had 5 or 6 pro ball players in a room with a guy who wanted us to do a hitting lesson with a guy who just painted, right? And that was the day I sat there and said, "What are we doing, man?" Now, again, there's different ways of hitting, and there's always a different way, right? And there's right and wrong ways. But I'm sitting here thinking to myself, this owner is just about the business. Like he's just worried about to do all this, like I don't know the right word here. It's like all the hoopla, the the new
Yeah,
this guy was having people standing on plywood's and doing this and this, and you would do a lesson. You're like, dude, just swing hard, right? So we sat in a room that night, and I don't know if you remember, it was about 10 o'clock at night, and he has 5 of us in the room. He's telling us that at this time you were playing for the Nationals, still playing. You were just about to leave, and he wanted us to do a hitting lesson. I who just painted for a living, like, and which is nothing wrong with that, but he didn't know what he was doing either. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, I can't sell this product if I don't believe in it. I can't lie to the customers and the players to get them to go hit off a 4x4. So that was the day that I just said, I'm done. I'm going to finish out the season, take a shot, you know. And
yeah. I think that a lot of people that do not know baseball rely on the visuals. They put out all of the gadgets and all of the toys to do the explaining. Hey, look at the board. It says 90, it should be 95. How do you get that kid to 95? Most people don't know, right? We're going to talk velo. I remember when we were doing it, that was like the big era of like exit velocity coming into the world of 12-year-old baseball. And it was like, teach that kid pitch recognition and how to make contact. Then teach that kid where to hit the ball situationally. Then teach that there's so many steps that you have to get to. And I'm watching a kid that doesn't know how to tie his shoes or put on batting gloves, try to stand on a 2x4. And I'm like, you skipped a lot of steps.
well, that's the lot.
you
Even
know?
today, like everybody watches that, the upward swing now, launch angles, right? And everybody's watching Trout do it, and that's great. But a 12-year-old kid can't do it. But people are trying to teach that 12-year-old kid in a matter of 2 weeks to do it. And some of the issues that I kind of sometimes have is I don't move as fast as that, right? So at 10, 11, and 12, like I tell my parents, I'm just teaching your kid how to love baseball.
Yeah.
10, 11, and 12. I still use that great line, man. Swing hard in case up, right? That's
yeah.
that, you know, as they get older, 15, 16, okay, if you're good, then start spending the money for lessons and some of that stuff. But you got to learn to love the game, man. And that's where it's changing. It's depressing sometimes.
Yeah, I think it doesn't matter how good you are. If you don't enjoy the game at 12, what's 15 going to matter?
Right.
And when you're so young, your swing changes. I mean, when I was talking to Brian about this probably a month ago because we were talking hitting and just some of the guys that we play with, how everyone's different. I was like, at 12 years old, I hit like Mark McGuire. And at 13 and 14, I hit like Gary Sheffield. And I was like, it just kept changing year after year. And then once I found myself as a player, what do you want to do? Are you going gap to gap? Are you a singles hitter? Once you start to identify who you are as a baseball player, that's when you fine tune. But you have someone spending $4,000 on lessons at the 11-year-old level. Like, it's great for the hitting instructor, but that kid doesn't even want to be there.
No, and
You know?
that in all honesty, like that's my toughest part with this, right? Like I love baseball so much, and in business, I can't do it, right? Like I'll tell a guy, your kid doesn't need lessons right now. He's 11 years old, man. What he needs is dad to do take him to get an ice cream. He doesn't
Yeah.
he doesn't need the lesson right now. If Butter didn't do lessons with you for free all those years, he probably wouldn't have done a lesson until he was, 16, 17. It wasn't worth it. Financially, I never really saw the value in it except to build confidence. He goes 0 for 4 at the plate. Good, go get a lesson. Oh, and then he might come get a hit, because he feels good about himself. It had nothing to do with the lesson. It had to do with confidence, right? And that's where the lessons, came into play. But people don't understand that sometimes.
Yeah, there are mechanical issues, but at the younger ages too, and this is kind of speaking towards not that Mike Trout 12-year-old.
Right.
Like,
Oh yeah.
let's face it, like every we have to put it into perspective too that most of these kids nowadays, I think every parent thinks their 12-year-old that's a little bit good or the best kid in their town is going pro. So like pack his bags, start filling out college applications. It's like it's not always the case. Find something your kid loves to do. Like you said too, like you might need to get an ice cream with them. We've
Yeah.
had that in the past, unfortunately, where
100%. That's not what.
some of the parents wanted different things than the kid. And I was like, the kid just needed a hug,
That's
you
it.
know.
Baseball, man. Right. At the end of the day, I still have the same conversations I have with parents since 2008. I tell parents all the time to enjoy this because it's going to pass quick. It's going to fly by. Y- The hotter you are on your kid, the most likely he's not going to play. Again, for the average kid, I pushed my son. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't push him. I pushed him, but I also gave him hugs and ice cream too.
Yeah.
I mean, as he got older and played at a high level, it changed. You know, I also found a balance between both. And I think that sometimes parents have to look at that and realize they
Yeah.
can't go pro. Because again, everybody goes pro until they hurt their shoulder, right?
Yeah, me and Butter talked about that too.
Everybody does.
Everyone, I mean, and it's funny because it's always like people don't know it's kind of a slap in the face to,
Oh, it's such a slap in the face.
you know,
Got it.
and maybe a lot of people did almost go pro. I get that. I've run into a handful of people that, like I had talked to CJ Loriello, his podcast just released.
Yeah,
He was actually someone that should have.
dude.
He hit like 430 or 460 at Miami-Dade. He had a higher batting average than I did.
Right.
You know, and there was 9 of us. There was 9 of us who were drafted and went. He went to Bethune-Cookman as Division I after that, and it's like he actually got hurt multiple times.
100%. I get that.
You know,
But you get a dude up there who, doesn't know what a hit and run is, saying they almost got pro. I just shake my head. Like you got to be kidding. Biggest pet peeve. I mean, we've ran into it. We've run into it before. Me and you at a home plate. A guy kept going on and on and on about almost going pro. I'm like, you shit. Like you got to be kidding, right, buddy? Like, and he's doing this with his shoulder. Mind you, the dude's like 600 pounds at this time. Like, it ain't his shoulder. Why is it always his shoulder too?
it's
Why?
it's the
It's
easiest
always
thing to
shoulder,
blame.
right?
Yeah, easiest
Always my
thing to
shoulder
blame.
hurt. I was getting scouted. I was getting scouted. Of course you were. Everybody,
Oh
right?
man.
I was going to be a doctor until I couldn't dissect a frog.
I was going to be a doctor until I realized I had to go to school for it. You
No,
know?
screw that, right?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's
It
funny, man.
it never ends. It
It
never
does.
ends.
Comical though. I
Yeah.
love. I do. I, I, uh, I wish I could go back in the past and relive kind of some of those Razorback teams, trying to recreate them now. And I got some kids, man. I got some kids that I really love now. I got a team that I've been coaching for 5 years that, I enjoy. I can actually say, and I get some older kids that sometimes I talk to, and I'll even FaceTime with you
Mhm.
to get through to these kids sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love them, but it ain't, it's tougher now. It's not as easy anymore.
Yeah, and that's with the energy, right?
Yeah, yes, yep. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, good program.
Good.
Good group and
I like to say it's a good program. The guy that owns it's got a good heart. Unfortunately, nowadays it's a business, right? And
Yeah.
that's what I hate. I hate that, you know. And he does a good job of between both, but the parents nowadays are different too.
Yeah. Yeah, which is tough to see. Probably most of them a little bit older than me, so you're getting towards the it depends on what area you're in, but you're getting towards the last of, on average, hard-nosed raised people. I see that with my generation of being like 37 years old, and I see people at work that are 35 or 32 and just soft, and it's kind of tough to see. Like, come on, man,
Yeah,
like, like
it
you
it
know,
times like I got in trouble. I got in trouble for saying the word shit.
and and that's a part of
That
coaching vocabulary.
that's like the nicest thing I said. So the guy called me to his office and he's like, "You said the word. You said shit." And I go, "Well, what I say?" Because I'm thinking I know what I said, right? But I don't
Yeah,
know. I only got that complaint, but I'm like, who knows what's coming out of my mouth, right? So you go, "You can't say the word shit." Now these kids are 13 years old.
yeah,
Like, I get it, right? I shouldn't cuss. I know I shouldn't cuss. I do. I try not to, right? But in my defense, sometimes you have to get these kids to listen, right? Like if I came in there all nice and happy, I mean, you know me, I can actually say I don't think I've really ever been mad. I can fake it,
yeah,
right? Fake I'm mad really good. I can yell and spit and throw things with the best of them. I ain't really mad. I mean, don't make me laugh,
yeah.
but it's an act, right? Like,
Yeah,
you
it's baseball. Like, let's be serious. You're not gonna chew someone out over a strikeout. Like, you're gonna say certain things to motivate them or to try to get them to take a life lesson from it. But at the end of the day, none of it really matters.
know,
You
no,
know, it's how do you get through to that kid? You're gonna have more people, and it leads back to the beginning of the conversation. Those people are gonna call you coach 8 years later.
what I'm trying for, man. I want to be invited to weddings. That's what I
Yeah,
tell.
yeah,
I'm the only coach like that doesn't care about trophies, right? Like I don't even know how many trophies in my shed.
yeah,
I don't even care. I want to be invited to weddings. I tell
yeah,
people that all the time. That's to me, if I get invited to their weddings and they're in their, when they have a kid or something like that, then I succeeded with the kid, right? That he made it to the majors in my eyes,
yeah,
and that's what I take. That's what I take from it. And again, I think I'm doing pretty good at that. I think the love and the passion can't be faked. I've been doing this
yeah.
for 20 something years, man. And I can actually say I love the kids now just like I love my own kid.
Yeah,
And
and you hold all the same relationships. Like,
try to,
we haven't coached together in what, 5, 6 years,
yeah,
something along those lines.
yep.
We're still talking
Still,
every
still
single
face.
week, and
I FaceTime you every couple practices, telling them
yeah,
how to calluses.
yeah. How do you build calluses on your
Yeah,
hand?
all the time, man.
You
Yeah,
pee on them. Yeah,
I
yeah,
tell all the time, and it's that. That's what it's about. I mean, that's the difference. I think where playing for guys like us to another place maybe is I mean guys like us are going to be there for life and maybe going to teach them a little bit more. Me and you grew up a certain way, right?
hmm,
Brockton, we grew up a certain way, and there's things that we do that I don't think anybody else does, except not anybody. So a lot of places like we did and I still do it, the food drive and the toy drive, and we do it for the right reasons, right? And one of the things I tell people is I try to teach the young players to do it where maybe in the future this world could be a better place, right? If people, you know, give up on toys or, I do a thing for the dog now, I do a dog drive where I donate the money to a local animal shelter to people who don't have the money to buy food, but they can keep their pets. And that's I try to teach young players more than just baseball is that type of stuff.
Oh, over 10 years ago, you were doing the cancer awareness jerseys before
Every
they were popping up everywhere. Like, you started seeing it the year and 2 and 3 years after people played you. Once they started to figure out, like, oh, there is a bigger meaning. Yeah, we had cancer awareness jerseys in what, like 2014, 2015, 2016, all that time frame.
Dude, we had stuff in 2012, cancer awareness jerseys with like the hope and all that stuff written on them. Other places didn't even think of. Now you see it every once in a while. You'll see the cancer awareness stuff, but they're not talking to the players about it. They're not talking to the players on why you're wearing it. Sometimes they wear it for the swag, right? Which I'm all about. Like, I get it, you know, but let's talk to the kids now about, what it means maybe to lose a loved one, and what it means to, and I share my personal stories, right? Like, I share how I grew up. I share, the cancer, and just trying to raise awareness with that, as much as teaching them how to hit a cut four or to lay down a bunt. That's part of my speeches at practice. And I think that's why players sometimes will relate to me, and because they know it's coming from a good spot. It's not just, let's win. If we win, we're great. If we lose, we're great. Right? I think I try to teach the right thing, which is probably why me and you have always vibed so well coaching, because I
Yeah.
think the same philosophy with it.
And a lot of the good parents will get that. I think that's why you had some of the same players and parents for so many years, whether it's at the Razorbacks or the Energy, just because there's so many life lessons that parents sometimes can't get through to their kids because they're mom or dad.
Right.
But if it's coming from their coach, it's a little bit different. We've all had those talks from parents like, hey, can you tell this person this because they're not listening to me? They're not doing their homework. So, you make a kid do push-ups and run the whole practice and then have a real conversation with them about like, this game's going to end at some point for everyone.
Yep. No.
What are you going to take away from this? That was one of the talks I had with one of my teams too, because it was a team that wasn't exactly the wealthiest. And I told him, I was like, your parents are spending a lot of money to be here, and you guys don't even want to be at practice. And I think it was the one time. I remember you had said that one time, like, you get one practice a year. That maybe you come in, you mess around, you don't handle what you need to handle. You can have fun, but let's do it the right way.
Yeah. Baseball fun.
Yeah, baseball fun. You guys are coming here, not paying attention, just wasting everyone's time and wasting your parents' money.
Yep. And that's something me and you hold very serious. Money.
That's what I talked to Butter Brown about that. I was like, you had always said that from day one. It's like, I value the dollar.
Yep. I tell everybody, someone's kid and someone's money I take very serious, and that's just the way I am. I mean, again, it goes back to the love of the game, and to what I just want to make this world a better place. And I'm not being soft or anything like that, but that's my goal. Like, in all
Yeah.
honesty, like, I just want to make the world a better place. Like, if I can leave that mark, then I did good, right?
Yeah.
Then that's it. That's all it's about. Like, I don't care about trophies. I tell parents, again, a lot of our coaches now are younger guys, right? A lot of coaches I get an energy of guys that played for me, or I kind of brought in, and I'm just trying to teach them not to worry about winning so much, but to be this type of person, right? Like, 'cause again, a lot of them, if they win, they're great. They think they're great. And that's just not the way it is. You got to do more than just win. Anybody can win. A monkey with a good team can win. Let's win with a bad team. Let's make that bad team better. Let's make that bad team cool.
And just for coaches out there, like, if you're judging yourself based solely on wins, especially coming from you, because me and Butter actually talked about this, that like at one point in time, you guys won 120 or 130 games straight
Dude,
in a row.
they lost. It was funny because I was talking to Butter the other day about it. From the time that team was 12 into the 17, they lost like 10 games. And when I say they weren't just playing 20 games, they were playing 100-game seasons. They lost 10 games. And I'm talking all around the country. But
Hmm.
not only that, they did it with an 11-man roster. You know,
Yeah.
so we were losing games in the semifinals versus teams that had 25 guys on it that were fresh in the semifinals. You know,
But yeah.
and I'm throwing out a kid who just pitched, or maybe it could never pitched because I don't have enough. And then the other crazy part about that team is I remember times we played 2 tournaments in 2 different states in the same weekend.
Yeah.
No one else, huh? We're playing games in Connecticut and in Northborough, Super 25 tournament
Yeah.
in 2 states. It came in semifinals in one and won the other one, in the same, you know? I mean,
It's funny because a lot of the teams that you would play, because like you said, you're doing like Super 25s, top 25 teams that, end up in that tournament alone. You
Yeah.
can't just sign up
With
for these
25.
tournaments. You have to win so many tournaments. You have to place. You have to be. You're like invited to this because you're top 25 at that point in time. And that's what me and Butter Brown were talking about, because we were like, you guys are literally doing this like as friends. And you're
Buddies.
playing
All buddies.
teams from like that pitcher's from New York, the catcher's from Texas, the center fielder's from California.
We were just buddies. They were
They
just
would
buddies.
just all good friends that actually happened to be really good as a team. They
Exactly.
played well as a team.
Right. They bought into it. And again, I had great parents, that had a lot to do with it, where they would send their kid wherever with me. They had complete trust. And, we had 11 kids,
Yeah.
I mean, that to this day, I just sit back and when I tell the story about Butter's team, I don't know if people think I'm full of crap or not, because it's insane. Again, over 6 years, they lost 10 games max. And I'm talking like a top 4 team in the country, a top 7 team in the country. We lost a game once. They lost a game to a team whose whole team went to like Vanderbilt almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they still talk about that. To this day, that team is still tight.
Yeah. It's a tough one to let go. You know?
Yeah. I can actually say I like to call it generations. I kind of had 3 generations, and I'm working on my 4th, where you had Buddy's team, which was just ridiculous, right?
Mhm.
Then you had like Pat Sheen and Jay Stevens' team that was really good. I mean, I was looking back on some of the stuff. They won they won every tournament they were in at 14, 15.
In good tournaments too.
Good tournaments and good, but again, it's right. I think has to do with creating that tightness among players, which
You
we
had
can't
some really tough kids on that team.
have kids.
You had some really tough kids, like someone like a Chase Hawley too, where it's like wasn't the biggest, wasn't the strongest, but was like tough as nails.
Yeah. And we had some kids that were so good in other places that at first they didn't buy into us. You know, thought they were just going to be a stud, and we made them earn it. Like I don't know if you remember, but we had a bunch of players that came in and they thought they were going to run the place, and we said no, no, no. You're going half this team and half the other team, and at 13 you're going to learn our way, and then at 14 we'll bring you back together. But right now we got to develop you
Mhm.
with other people. We got to teach you how to be friends with everybody. And, a tough pill to swallow maybe at 13, but they bought into it at 14. And then they liked everybody in the program, not just their buddies, you
Yeah,
know?
and that's a big thing too. I remember that year because it was like, is there division being created by bringing in another team? And then it was like, is there an A team and a B team? Who's
Yep.
who?
We cut
It.
that for a little bit until the next year, you know?
Yeah,
And yeah, we caught some heat from some parents who didn't understand why, why we were doing it. But again, now I look back, you look at their stories and their stuff like that. They're still hanging out with kids on the B team, and you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, and especially in that time, you have best friends that are from two different cities that if they just played town ball normally, they probably wouldn't have hung out. I didn't have that growing up. At 12 years old, I wasn't hanging out with anyone from another town. Like it was
No,
just Brockton. Like you just played
exactly.
Brockton baseball, and you actually didn't like the other people from the other side of the town.
No, no, you just like east side, north side, south side. That's it.
That's it. You played the other teams your entire life. And then when you got to Brockton High in freshman year, you always had to worry about how people were going to interact because it was north side basketball, baseball, football, and you always played south, east, and west,
No,
you
it's
know?
it, it's a big thing. It's still a big thing. Like this whole A team, B team stuff still causes headaches. Or if I just got off the phone with a dude that was complaining his kid's on 12. He's 12 years old. He's worried about what team he's on. And I'm like, no, you just want to play.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't what team you're on. My kid was on a B team at 11, 12 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
Just
he
play.
played professional baseball.
Yeah, just play
Yeah.
ball, man. Again, this is the parents nowadays worried about the wrong thing. Again, let's worry about the right thing, right? Let's worry about having fun.
You've had that perspective for so long. That's what kind of obviously I love you too, so that kind of led into me going with you
Yeah, yeah.
at that time to start something different. But you had always had that perspective, and it's like only if people could just start from the beginning and say, my son was on the B team,
Tried it.
and
Yeah.
then for them to see that he played professionally. And it's like, you think we got so caught up in the A and the B's? Like you just said too, it's play the game. Just play as many games as you can, learn different players, because as you climb the ranks or go from, your junior high to your high school to college, hopefully, you're going to meet so many different kinds of players. You have to be able to get along with people too. Like, and that ties back to what we said earlier. It didn't matter how good you were. If you didn't fit the team dynamics, you weren't going to get the call the next year.
No, I mean, you weren't going to play. Like, you were going to get pushed out, whether it be by me, you, or the players, because they kind of just bought into their mentality. And the thing with Razorbacks is, I think 90%, 99% of the people probably bought into our philosophy of, we had what we had. And me and you had a good little thing where, I don't know, again, if you remember, but there was parents that would text me that I would just send the email to you and I wouldn't even read it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, this guy just left me a voicemail that's 2 minutes long. Can you answer this? Because I know I'm gonna get mad,
Yeah.
right? I'm gonna get mad at this guy for being stupid. And you would just, all right, yeah, I'll take care of it. And vice versa. You had ones that would might go to you that I got along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we had a thing where we didn't really lie to parents. I think that was a big thing. So their parents knew, first of all, the players loved us. I mean,
That was number one.
number one, the players loved us, so we got away with anything we wanted to. Like I yelled, I'm down on a kid. 99% of the time, they weren't going home and telling mom and dad, that we yelled at them because they loved us so much. They knew we were right. But it was a big part of that. Players loved us, parents loved us. I still talk to a bunch of them. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I talk to parents that have been out of, on a consistent basis too, that have been out of the program for a long time, and I haven't coached a kid in a long time and still talk to parents. That's insane. You don't get that now.
For the most part, your kid is your favorite person in the world.
100%.
If you're a normal person,
Yeah.
like, but
Yeah.
if you're somewhat normal, your kid might be your favorite person in the world. So to find a coach or a mentor, a teacher, just someone that's willing to pour everything in such a positive way into that person to help develop them, to tell you, listen, it doesn't matter how you do at 12-year-old baseball. What are you going to do when you're an adult? You're going to learn these are life lessons. They're not just hitting lessons. They're
Yeah.
life lessons.
You Yeah, no, like one of your good things where when you would do a lesson with someone and you weren't great at them, you didn't sit there and hey, do hands here and arms here. I don't know
Yeah.
if you just worked out with them, right?
A lot
So
of the
you would
times,
hit
yeah.
5 balls off a tee and then have them hit 5 balls off the tee. But when you were hitting the balls off a tee, you were talking school, you were talking, the girls, and you were talking life.
Yeah.
And you would throw in, hey, keep that palm up, or do this, and then you would go back to being their buddy. So
Yeah.
your whole relationship wasn't just that lesson. They didn't, and I know they wanted to do it with you because you cared about them. You cared about them as a person. You didn't care if they could hit a ball 400 feet. Everybody wants to coach that kid, right?
Yeah.
But you cared about. I don't even know if you know how many lives you affected. I really don't. I mean, you affected a lot of lives. Um, because of that, because of, being Chris Curran from the Washington Nationals and getting people to, you were their first celebrity in a lot of ways, and they just
Yeah.
brought to you. I mean, I don't think you really realize sometimes how much you affected everyday players and kids. And that's what made you special.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you never really know. And especially at that time of coaching, I learned a lot of the coaching from you, because it was kind of that perspective of, I was fresh out of the game. I understood the players more than the parents, because one, I wasn't a parent. I was 25, 26, 27. We had a lot of smaller kids, so it was such an easy conversation with them on, like, no one's going to cut you any breaks.
Right.
Everyone's
Oh, you
going to
did.
overlook you.
Yep.
Most of the kids were bigger than me. So
You know,
to be able to spend that time with a kid on the tee and show them with the understand that they think they're going to come in there for an hour and it's all mechanics. And I'm like, those mechanics are going to go out the door. You're only going to retain so much information. Let's talk because I can get you to make the subtle changes with every 10th swing rather than, no, do this
right.
here.
And
Like there's a time and a place for that. But most of these kids that we coach, they needed some kind of mentor. They needed a coach.
they need a coach, right? They need a dude to talk to, because again, they already listened to dad on the ride home. They don't need dad in there. They don't need.
Exactly.
They already got that guy. Let me be the guy that just like, hey, what movies you watch? I mean, I just did it the other day with a kid, 16 years old, struggling. What movie do you watch? And we're talking Goodfellas. Now he comes in the next day. Now he's feeling good, right? He's feeling good about himself. What I want to be, man. It, coaching, right? To me, I take it serious. That's where I get mad at some coaches.
If you're just coaching for the money, it gets tough because you can make such an impact and such an
Ruin
impression.
time. You
So
ruin the
you,
game.
absolutely. So when I did my Hall of Fame speech in November of 2024, that was one of the discussions that I had with Kayla on what I wanted to do. And I was more so bouncing the idea off her, but I knew what I wanted to do. And I spent my entire speech thanking over 40 coaches that I had growing up because and my main philosophy was like these are the coaches that don't get to stand up here and on these stages and accept these awards. But tonight they will because it was in the sense of I got to bring them with me of every coach that you run across and in learning the life lessons from you, those are the things that you truly carry with you. It's not the wins and in the losses. It's really not.
That's the easiest, right? But
That's
let's not get in trouble, and let's not. I mean, you're in group chats with me still, right?
mhm.
Almost every holiday, how many text messages I send out? If you need a ride home, call me. I got you. Now this was before Uber was big. I've been
Yeah.
doing I've been doing this for 15, 20 years. If you need,
Yeah.
I still lecture these kids like they're my kids. And 20, Cam just bought a house.
Yeah.
I'm lecturing still. You know, you need a ride. You tell me how many coaches do that. You know,
Yeah.
you tell me how many programs after a kid stops paying, how many programs do that?
I
That
know.
back and say, hey, this guy did care. It's again, I get myself in trouble sometimes with coaches because I come down on them for being that type of coach that just worries about the good kids.
If you run your own facility and your own travel program, that's the toughest part is because you invest so much into the kids, but the kids aren't the one paying. They're the ones who benefit from it, but there's been a lot of times where we've eaten the cost from
How,
certain situations.
how many? Too
Y-
many.
Yeah, and you try to think of the long run where you're going to have these and these kids aren't going to know. Some of these kids aren't going to know that their parents didn't pay type of thing and but the parents do.
The parents do. I mean, again, if you go back to one of the reasons why, so when I first started Razorbacks, I only had one team, right? Only I thought I was gonna have three teams come over with me, right? I only had one over. So me and you coached at another place.
Mhm.
So I had one team in mind, and then we had to take on other teams. So me and you went to go coach at another place, and that guy called you week 7 and said, "This kid can't play. His mom didn't pay." I mean, I don't know again if you remember that, but your response was, "Well, then I'll pay. You can,"
I
and that guy took it out of your pay because you bench a kid
Yeah,
for
I remember that. And out of good faith, the parents ended up paying me back
100%.
later on and they kept
They
their word and I was willing to take that chance because it was like you end up falling in love with the family and the players and the team dynamics. I would rather get screwed over than feel like I'm screwing someone over.
right. So we had that kid from at that point was 11. We ended up having him till he was 16. Now to this day, if you ran into dad, he'd remember you and the mom and
Yeah.
same thing with they remember you. I mean, it's
Yeah,
so
I give them all a hug. There's,
100. Yeah. No,
yeah.
it's baseball. Like again, it's so much more why I do this. Every single time I sit there and go, all right, this is my last season. the truth is, my last season's going to be when I'm in the grave, right? Because I'm going to keep
Yeah.
coaching. I mean, I'm not gonna stop, right? I'd go nuts if I stopped coaching. I don't know what would happen.
I couldn't picture you not like you not coaching.
No, I don't think I could, man. I get one rain out a weekend, I'm fine. But the second weekend, I'm not happy.
Yeah, yeah,
I
it's been tough, and it's been tough this year.
can't do it. Yeah, this is a tough season. Find myself going to places just hoping there's a game.
Yeah, so you can watch it and coach
Just
kids that aren't yours.
watch on Game Changer or something.
Yeah,
Like, but no, I don't think I could ever stop coaching because I think the kids keep me young, but I
yeah,
haven't changed.
yeah,
I go in there and I still crack jokes and you know I prop dust kids 24/7. The only difference now is that I'm older than all the parents. You know what I mean? Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
you
That's the
know,
beauty of it.
it's
That's
great.
the experience.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this too, because this is a newer dynamic, so I can ask you, what was it like coaching your son, and now what's it like coaching with your son?
Phew. Um, it's coaching my son was great. Like, I really, really enjoyed coaching him. He made it easy for me because he was a dog. Like, he
Yeah,
worked, right? So I didn't have that pot. I also lucked out where my son was a lefty and he pitched and played outfield. I didn't have to worry about him wanting to play shortstop or anything like that, right?
hmm
So that definitely helped. Coaching with Butter and stuff like that is he's like a lot like you when you first came out, right? So when you first came out of playing pro ball, you didn't understand why a kid couldn't make that catch, right? Like
it was
you were,
it was tough sometimes.
you were
Yeah,
younger, you didn't understand. And I remember saying to you, Chris, they can't do what you do. You know what I mean? You got to make those adjustments and do it because and you would get mad. Like I remember a kid had a chicken nugget in the dugout. I thought you were gonna drop kick him that first year. I don't know if you remember. I'm like, dude, let the kid
no,
eat the chicken nugget. You you,
I remember I
you
was
were mad.
very
You
diehard.
were mad.
I was fresh out.
Fresh.
I took
Just
baseball so personal
you did.
in
You
so many
did.
ways.
And now Butter sometimes doesn't understand it. So like I'm trying to teach him the part of being a good coach like I am. That I
Mhm.
think like I try to teach him they can't do what you did. He doesn't get that part yet, but he's getting better at it. Like he's at a stage now where if he likes you, he's all in. And he goes for it, and he's got to learn to find the thing that he doesn't have something in common with the kid, and find something in common. With that
Yeah.
kid to bring something out of it, and he's getting better at it. But with Butter, a big part of it is he's such a good kid. He doesn't like bad kids. Like I mean, when I say bad, he doesn't like kids that misbehave. He doesn't like bullies, and he doesn't like stuff like that. Where I'm trying to teach him like, hey, all right, that kid is a bully, but let's find out why he's a bully, y- and let's teach him not to be. Where Butter gets mad sometimes at the kid and can shut him down a little bit, but he's getting better at that. It's part of learning how to coach. Of Again, it's not just about wins and losses. It's about let's maybe teach that kid not to be a bully, you
Yeah.
know,
No,
and get better.
it's so true. It's easy to find like commonality in certain kids and kind of be drawn to them where you want to work with someone or even with the parents. Um,
Parents love him. He does good with the parents. He's very good with parents. He's actually better at parents than I am. I can actually say that parents are, and a lot like you, they're drawn to him. And
yeah.
with me, it's more of I'm very old school with parents. Like I tell my first thing with speech is, if you complain, I'm going to block you on my phone, and I'm dead. 100%. My phone has blocks, and it's
I
not.
know. I know.
It,
You've always had that because people would
it
text me like, Rob's not answering. I'm like,
you're blocked.
congrats, you made the
Right?
list.
You started off by saying I'm not usually this parent. Now I still use that speech. People think I'm joking, but I'm not
Yeah.
joking.
Yeah.
Start off your speech with that, then I'm gonna block you. With Bud, it doesn't do that. Bud is very good at talking to the parents when they complain. Where me, I'm not as good sometimes because again, if you're gonna ask me a question, be prepared for an answer. and that's where he
Yeah. Not the answer you want.
not the answer you want. Because again, I've done this. Like, you ever see that movie Coach Carter?
Yeah.
My career on the wall, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I'm at now. I'm Coach Carter, right?
Yeah.
I did a tryout this year. I said to the kids, I go, listen, it goes in this facility, it goes me, God. That's where I'm at, right? Because my credentials are there. So where Butter's good at is he's very good at that. Like he's very good at talking to the parents and with the mums and stuff like that. Something that
Yeah.
he's very good at that.
He's very personable though.
He's very likable.
He's so likable,
Yeah.
um, naturally,
Oh, 100%.
because
Right.
like it's a natural thing. There's no acting with him because I don't know if he could put the acting together.
Yeah. If he doesn't like you, you can tell. If I don't like you, you can't really tell, right?
Yeah.
But if he like you can tell right away.
Yeah.
And if he likes you, he likes you. That's the great thing about him is that, you know where you stand. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. He doesn't pretend to hide it.
no,
And almost if you don't get along with him or if you don't like him, it's kind of on you because
usually
he gets along with everyone. He'll try to find the good in everybody.
he does. Again, similar to with the height and stuff like that, and he's been bullied, and I think sometimes that's why he gets so mad with a bully or something like that.
Yeah.
But he's getting better. He's getting better as he gets older. We've only had to coach against each other one time, which was tough. I don't know if you guys touched on that one. That was a tough.
We talked about it a little bit. He said you were kind of scared.
But
In a sense, I think hold on, let me do him justice. I think he said that there was a moment that was close and it could have been that way.
I don't know if I was scared, but I was in a no-win. I was in a no-win situation. Here I am. I got quote unquote the A team. Right? His team, I train all the players too. So I love those kids on his
Yeah.
team. I mean, but he's got the B team, so he's got nothing to lose. But he did.
Yeah, yeah.
It was 6-4, and he had runners on like first and second with a kid that could hit the ball out. So I was a little nervous. I mean, I was a little nervous, but
Nervous is good though.
yeah, man. But
Nervous is good.
I didn't want to beat my kid. I don't care how old you get, man. I didn't
Yeah.
want in a tough spot. That was out of all the years I've coached, that was the one game that I was in a no-win situation because I can't lose, right? I just hate losing, but I also didn't want to. That
Yeah.
was that was a tough game
Hey,
emotionally.
that's why your name's on the wall.
That's it, But I think I ended a tear that day, actually.
Yeah.
But we took a pretty cool picture with both teams after. You know, uh,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. But again, I think it taught these two teams that hey, A and B doesn't matter. It was a 6-4 or five
Yeah.
three or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a tough one. It was a tough day to coach against.
How would you recommend to balance it out between the father and coach, son and player role? Because I think from an outside perspective, I think you did such a great job with keeping it separate, but also finding a perfect blend together of like we've talked about, it's just baseball as
Um,
well.
yeah, it wasn't easy. It got easier sometimes over the years, but I think what happened is that I remember my dad telling me one time, "Calm down, you're losing it," and I was kind of embarrassed because I was losing it, right? He was 9 years old. I flipped out over an error between him and two other kids, and I kind of embarrassed myself by yelling at him. I remember my dad pulling me aside and like, "Hey, you know, they're 9." And
Yeah.
I remember, I mean, again, I remember that was 15 years ago. And so I think at that point, I said, all right, I got to relax a little bit. But I also wanted to push my kid. Um, so with that, as time went on, I started to care about all his teammates as much as I cared about my own kid.
Mm.
So it was different. It was like, all right, this is the team. And when we were a team at these hours, but when we went home, I was dad. You know what I mean? Like I didn't talk about his errors. I didn't talk about the mistakes. I was dad when we went home. It was just like, again, the ice cream, and we'll go out and play catch. There, no, there was no bringing up baseball outside of baseball.
That's one of the good things that I've heard too is um on the car ride there, and this is for the dads who have a tough time differentiating how to kind of maneuver in and out of the talks between life lessons and baseball lessons. Was certain dads wouldn't talk about baseball on the way to the game or on the way home from the game, especially if the kid had a bad game. Because you're coaching through that, and I think that's good advice if you don't know how to mix the two. But I
It's not
think it's not easy, and I think you had to learn the balance of coaching, like coaching your kid as well, where I know that that's advice from the dad who wants to critique his kid that plays for another coach
I,
as
I
well.
I think a big part of is, what did I want my relationship to be with my son? And did I want my relationship, because I see it happen a lot of times where the kid stops talking to the dad or stops playing because of the dad just yelling at him the whole time. So I didn't want that relationship with my son. So I was very good at coming down on him when at the game as a coach, but I just didn't come down on him from a dad after he made mistakes.
Yeah.
I understood it, but again, I was letting him live his journey, right? I did mine. My journey was over.
Hmm.
I've done playing. So with him, I just wanted him to do him. And I was just glad to be involved in a little piece of it, because, but again, I knew it had a big effect on Butter. I knew if I
Yeah.
yelled at and came down on him, well, he only wanted to please me. He did that even with pro ball. Like, I remember he was playing in a league in college, and it was like all D1 type players, right? And he happened to get the start versus a team, and he got shelled the first inning, right? And as soon as that first inning's over, now I'm in the outfield watching it. As soon as that first inning's over, he texts me, "Sorry." I'm like, "Sorry? What are you sorry for?" Well, I let up 7 runs. So he goes, "Can you meet me behind the bleachers?" The kid's playing college baseball. Like, wants
Yeah.
to come. Right, what's wrong? Well, I let you down. You didn't let me down, man. I just got to watch. This was during COVID. I just got to watch my kid play top notch baseball. You know,
Hmm.
what are you sorry for? You let up 7 runs. I go, "Did you prepare? Yes. Did you follow the coach's game plan? Yes. Did you execute your pitches? Yes. Okay. You did exactly what you're supposed to do, man. It's baseball, right?"
Yeah.
So I didn't I didn't yell at him for letting up 7 runs. I just let him. You did what you're supposed to do, man. You guys didn't make the plays. Kid
That's
hit
how
you. Kid a little better than you today. That team was a little bit better than you today. Hit the ball a little harder.
that's how the game works, man.
It. And that's where I kind of just left it. Like, I didn't care if he win or lost. I just wanted my kid to have fun. I want to be safe, have fun, don't drink and drive, don't do drugs. And I was happy with a 7-run loss over some of that stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's
I guess to answer your question, I think my perspective was, I didn't care about, again, his ERA as much as I cared about him being that good person. So it was easier for me. I think some parents might take a kid going 0 for 4 personal, you know,
it's not your at bats.
how you act on.
It's so tough if you don't have that perspective to kind of look into it. Like it's so much more about the journey than the end result. And I know it's easier to say, especially if you've coached so many kids and you can kind of look at it. And I've heard you say it before to parents. It's like, just enjoy it.
It's over soon, man.
You're worried about these trophies that are going to sit in a garage for no reason, but what are your memories with your kid? And I think you and Butter are the perfect example of that. Like not only did you get to coach him and win games and had success, because this is all easy to say if you lose a lot too. So it can go both ways, but where you guys have had so much success and stuck by it from every level, whether it was from 9 or 19, little league to professional baseball, like it's worked.
Yeah,
And you hope that more people can kind of follow like that lead of it all.
yeah, man. It's one of the things I try to talk about the parents during my pre-year speeches, and I bring that up. I bring up, listen, they're going to stop playing baseball because of you.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to stop on that ride home is when they stop. And you want to teach a kid to be a bad teammate? Talk about his coach and his teammates on the ride home. I mean, Butter's ride home, I didn't knock his teammates, whether he played for me, and I was lucky, man. He got to play for a lot of teams because I anybody that called him that wanted him to pitch or play, go ahead, man. I didn't care. I wanted him to play you kids, but you're not going to talk about your coaches. And I lucked out where by me saying this so much to him, I remember he went down to Georgia. This is crazy. This is me being a dad. I'm gonna tell you, this is me being a dad. He went down to Georgia. He was supposed to pitch in the semifinals in a perfect game tournament, playing for a team out of South Carolina. Oh, he calls me up and he's like, I'm going to pitch. I'm pitching in 2 days. I get in my truck. I drive down to Georgia, 15, 16 hours. I got the dogs with me, right? So the trip felt like 30 hours, cussing every long way, right? I get there. A guy named Michael Young gets the start, and I'm pissed. How does this guy start? And I'm saying I just drove 18 hours to watch my kid supposedly pitch. And you got this dude on the mound named Michael Young. And I'm mad. And Michael Young got shelled, right? Well, after the game, I said to Butter, like, what the hell? Like, why is it that you're better than this kid? And Butter's like, well, Virginia Tech was coming to watch that kid that day. And it was the only day they could watch him play. The coach wanted to pitch him. Now, this is Butter being a good teammate, not mad at the guy, but not only that, told me not to talk bad about his coach because I'm pissed. I'm mad.
Yeah.
It was his style, and I didn't understand it. And Butter's like, no, no, my coach did the right thing. Don't talk about my coach. Now, he's telling me this. 2 years later, this dude wins Rookie of the Year for the Atlanta Braves. So I tell this story to parents, and I'm like, so I get where you guys think your kid is better than everybody else. Because I literally thought my kid was better than a guy in 2 years later win Rookie of the Year in 2 years, not 2 years after getting drafted, 2 years from this day. So I understand that you might think your kid's better, but he's probably not better. And and again, credit and Butter. Butter knew the kid was better than him and was
Yeah.
okay, and he was a good teammate. So it's me learning from sometimes me learning well that he's got the right idea, right? He was right. I shouldn't talk about his teammates and I shouldn't just think my kid's the best where they know who's better and he did the right thing. So at this moment, I'm proud of him for not only not making a big thing about a dude taking his side, but realizing in like, hey, it's bigger than this game, right? This kid had a chance to go to college. And that college came to watch this kid. That's bigger than me pitching.
Yeah, it's a big moment to be able to recognize that even as a player, but it goes to the years of learning those kind of fundamentals. That stuff doesn't just happen overnight. I mean, a coach can tell you that and it sounds good, but for you to actually believe it and understand that that's kind of the truth of the moment. Because even if he wasn't better, if he had that opportunity, you'd almost want that for someone, especially if you're
On his mentor,
practicing. Yeah, you're
right?
practicing with him and everyone there's grinding. Everyone's trying to get to the next level. You want that opportunity for someone you're playing with, especially a
And,
friend.
and this was the crazy thing. It wasn't even a friend. It
Yeah,
was a guy who just filled in because Virginia Tech wanted to watch him. That this guy put him on the team for that tournament. So
so they
he
could
did.
see him.
And
Yeah.
for Butter to realize to me, and again, this is where I think I succeeded as a dad. For him to realize, like, hey, it's the right call. And he wasn't just saying that. He really believed, like, hey, I'm glad this kid started. He needed it, and the team was there to watch him, not me pitch.
Yeah,
That's
it's a bigger than baseball kind of moment for everyone to say, "Hey, we're all on this baseball journey
they were all in,
together," and whether this kid's just stopping in or not, like we want what's best for everyone.
right. And that's what it is. I think as again, as a dad, that was probably one of my proudest moments, to be honest. With that, like, hey, he stands up to me, tells me, you're wrong, dad. And I try to tell parents that, don't talk about your kids, don't talk to your teammates and coaches.
You don't win. You don't win. This
Yes, I mean,
move on.
it's funny. I have a player, he's on the group chat with us, Sean. he was mad at me at like 17 years old, and he just stopped talking to me. And what I was telling him was true. And then like 2 years later, he reached out to me, and this is why we started talking again. He reached out to me 2 years later. He goes, "Look, Coach, you were right. You were just looking out for my best interest." And he wrote me this
Yeah.
long letter about some of the stuff. Again, it's I wasn't trying to be right with him. I kind of gave him the space, but he knew the truth, and he came back and said, "You're right. I was wrong." There was no arguing. It was just, again, you're on the group chat,
Yeah.
still talking every day. I mean, he's coming to coach me. Yeah,
It's a big moment.
yeah.
Something like that. Those breakthrough moments when your stubbornness gets in the way of admitting whether you were right or wrong in certain situations. Just let that weight go too.
Let it go, man.
Just
It's
like you're gonna hold on to it for how long?
right.
Just
Not worth it.
yeah, come to terms with it too. And even if you still feel like maybe you weren't wrong, what's the intention of the person telling you? Has that person ever really tried to wrong you, or are they just seeing it from a different perspective?
Well, that's it. You got to realize you're not right all the time, and that's a tough thing for people to understand, that you're not always right.
Yeah.
Myself, I tell everybody all the time, like, I'm just giving you my opinion. Doesn't mean it's right, and I'm not even trying to change your opinion. I'm just telling you my opinion.
Yeah. Offering you a second viewpoint.
Again, I coach an area that has, you know, average income's pretty high.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll say stuff, you know, like, I'm just telling you that, just my opinion. That person from a lower money isn't a less of a person. They just don't have as much money as your parents do. It's not less of a person. He's still a person.
People don't get that there's a certain level of timing. I mean, I don't know if it's any different from where you are, but a lot of 12-year-olds don't have jobs. I mean, flexing on your parents' money situation or judging another kid for none of it matters, man. People don't realize that we're all people. At the end of the day, I used to say that to some of the popular kids at the Razorbacks. If anything was ever said, I'm like, you're probably gonna work for that kid someday. So
Yeah.
keep
Hey,
it in mind.
keep it in mind.
You know.
Yeah, you're 100% right. We're people. And I think, again, that's where I think me and you and a handful of other coaches get it. Not for nothing. A lot of people got to learn to get that. A lot of people got to learn to understand that we're all human. Um,
Yeah.
and make this world a better place. And I'm not just saying that because it's like the politically correct, because God knows I'm not politically
Yeah.
correct, right? But I do have strong values with some of that stuff of growing up the way I grew up. And man, Christmas was tough, right? Now it's a little different, but I just want to teach people that.
That's the number one thing, because regardless of what you choose in your path, whether it's baseball or math, whether you're working at, your local grocery store, you're a CEO, we're all just people. None of it really matters at the end of the day.
No, when you're buried, it's all. When I'm buried, when I'm buried, like I just want people to sit there and say, you know what, the dude tried. He was a good coach, good guy. He loved us. That's all I care for. I don't care about the trophies. I don't care about my record. I don't care about, I mean, how many guys who got to college and how many guys who did this.
Yeah.
I care about all my players. And I dislike, I get mad at coaches that don't care about all their players. Like, that's where I get myself in.
Yeah,
He
they want to coach the,
good.
so-called A team, and it's just a reflection of someone's confidence.
Yeah. Give me the B
You,
team. Coach the B team and make them win. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah, come on.
it's so funny. I talked to Brian about that too, because people will recruit me and him for their teams, and they'll talk about if they're good or not, and I'm like, I've I've been on good teams. It's fun to build a team. It's fun to be part of a culture that's you get to actually watch shift. That's the good part. What was your experience from when you found out Butter had like gone pro and gotten the opportunity from like a dad's perspective?
Um, so this goes back to some of his high school stuff, and we could touch on that too. But I mean, I was proud, again, as a dad. Of course, I mean, he decides he's going to go pro, and and travel and stuff like that. Yeah, I was excited. I wasn't nervous or anything like I was like, hey, this is, you get to do you now. Again, this is your journey. I was definitely proud, but I got back, I had to go coach that weekend,
Gotta get
so
back to the
I
grind.
had his journey, right? So he had to figure some stuff out, but I wanted to kind of throw it into some people's faces like, hey, yeah, yeah, I know he's only 5'5", but you guys might have said no, but he didn't say no. Uh, so it was
Yeah.
that some of that non-politically correct part of me wanted to call some coaches and say, hey,
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I deal with a lot of the doubt that I had. I've had coaches try to deter me from going away to, not going to Florida to play college baseball because they said it was fast. And that was a nice way of saying, you're good around here. Do you think you can keep up down there? And it was all motivation. And I always tried to look at it in the sense of that's how I made my peace with it. Because it was some coaches that I thought really highly of and valued their opinion. But it was kind of a comment that showed me what maybe they thought, or maybe what they thought was going to be best for me. I would have rather have gone to Florida and failed than stay up here and succeed.
well, again, I don't know if you remember this, but when you first started working out at Dirt Dogs, I'd call you over and, you would be hitting on the tee, right?
Hmm.
And I would use that. Like I would be like, look at this dork over there hitting off. Look at this dude over here. And the kids be like, yeah, this kid, and then I'd call you over. Hey, why are you hitting off a tee? And you'd be like, well, I want to get better. And what do you do for a living? You're like, I play for the Nationals, and then I would tell the story about, yeah, but you're only 5'5",
Yeah.
you know, and then you would tell the story and we would kind of go back and forth off each other of, well, you're good up here, but you're not good in Florida. You're like, well, yeah. And then I went down to Florida and I was good. Yeah, but you couldn't play at a good school. Well, the school I came from drafted 9 kids my year. You know,
Yeah.
give it- and it's just like that, right? Uh, and it was the same thing. You kind of just wanted to show people that size, where you come from, not doesn't, and just because a coach's opinion thinks you're good or doesn't think you're good doesn't determine, your final outcome. And that's what it was with Butter. It was like he had some people, and he ended up leaving his high school for it, but he had some people that just didn't believe in him because of size or because of other reasons. And part of it was probably because of me that I was kind of glad when he did it on his own, really.
Yeah,
And
you
he,
stand on your own 2 feet. And those are very tough decisions to make, especially at that age. Because at an early age, you are dependent in many ways on adult opinions to do some kind of evaluation. But to kind of take it in your own hands, that's a big move. It's a big risk. It's a big chance. But I mean, at that point in time, what do you have to lose if these people are already telling you no?
when he went to school, it's basically what we did. We had to take a big risk his senior year, I think, and we kind of upset some people, but we had to make a move as me and Butter talked about, and it was ultimately his decision. But again, I guided him with it, but it wasn't easy to make some of those choices that we made when it came to high school, because we didn't think
Yeah.
that had his best interest. And as a parent, it's sometimes what you got to do. Maybe you got to look at other alternatives.
In that situation, because he is actually good at baseball, so it kind of leads you into I just because we're doing it doesn't mean it's going to work out. But that life lesson of telling them, like, you got to take the chance, man. If you believe in it, fail on your merit,
Right?
not on what your freshman or varsity coach that you not going to play for anyways thinks about you.
That junior year was tough. I mean, again, I think a lot of it had to do with me, with coach and travel baseball. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, some coaches just didn't like me, right?
It's the
Because again,
politics of it too.
it's politics. You beat a team, and they don't like you. And again, we were beating a lot of teams, and his he went to a school, and um, the other coach just taught a different travel ball team, you
Yeah.
know, and we had to pull him his senior year, and it wasn't easy because the school was a great school.
Yeah.
He was a two-time captain of the wrestling team at this point, so We we knew that was going to cause issues. And his wrestling coach was great, and his guidance counselor was great, and his teachers were great, but the coach literally didn't like him, and because of a lot of it had to do with me, I'm sure. But we just said, "What about it?" Like, well, he knew he wasn't gonna play. His sophomore year, he threw I think 21 innings of like shutout baseball, and he asked the coach what he has to do to move up to varsity, and the coach shut him down for the rest of the season. You know, um,
Yeah.
so his junior year, he asked the coach, is he going to play? What's he thinking of? This was before tryouts. Coach goes, you know, oh yeah, you'll probably do some pinch running and stuff like that. Now, Butter looks fast, but he ain't fast, right? His feet go, his feet just don't move, right? So at that point, he goes, I'm not playing. I'm not playing for this high school. I'm
Yeah.
going to go again. This is him at 16. He reaches out to a school down in South Carolina, no, Atlanta, like like a homeschooling type of school that starts training in February. He reaches out to them on their own. Again, he's 16 and talks to his coach like he's a man. Says to the guy, "Listen, I'll come down and play for you guys, and then I'll transfer to your school next year." So starting March, he was flying down to Atlanta almost every weekend on Frontier,
Yeah.
but he was going down to Atlanta and he was going to sign for that. He was going to go to that school in Atlanta. And I was scared because, I love my kid. I don't want him in Atlanta. Um, so he goes down to Atlanta, has a great year. He's all set to go to that school. Well, we luck out his best friend. Well, one of his best friends decides he's going to a school in Maine. I said, "But like, why don't you go up to Cam? Why don't you go to Maine with Cam? So at least it's only a 3-hour drive." So his senior year, he went up to that school, had a great coach that bought into him, that gave him some great opportunities, and I'm going down south and doing his thing. But
That's big.
point is, don't let one coach determine. As a parent, you gotta know what Don't just listen to one coach's opinion because that coach could be wrong. I think a lot of coaches just don't know what they're talking about and they just want to fake it. Because in the late '90s, early 2000s, it became billion dollar business.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys were like, "Wait a second, I'm a coach now." I'm like,
Yeah.
"You're a coach, okay?" And they fake it. One of the things with me and Bud, we just laugh sometimes. We'll go and we're like coaching against this dude. I'm like, I'm coaching against this guy. Like, what are we doing? Like, why
Yeah.
would I again getting myself in trouble? I turn around to some parents like, well, I would pay for this guy. He doesn't know
Yeah.
what he's talking about. You know what I mean? He doesn't know
Yeah.
what a run is.
Yeah.
Coaching kids. But then, like sometimes I'll have a kid come over at 15 saying, I'll start talking to him. He doesn't know what things are. And I'm like, how do you not know? Because his coach didn't know. Because anybody's a coach now. There's 900 teams in Mass. It's
You're paying $3,000 to be
huge
coached by
business.
someone that doesn't know.
Each team is $36,000, and you got expenses and all that. But
Yeah. That's
you got a
crazy.
you got a coach there that just doesn't know, and it's frustrating. That's where I'm telling you, I get mad. I probably quit. Sick. Bud laughs at me. I get so mad about stuff that I quit. And he teases me all the time, and I say to him, "No, right? It's because I care so much that I get so mad about the bullshit part of it.
Yeah.
The the guy who doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, because you're watching people ruin what you love.
How many times have me and you talked about you? This is back in 2010. We were like, dude's a YouTube coach. Well, it's 10 times worse now in 2025.
Yeah. I know we were saying that back then of like, this guy YouTubed a couple bad drills,
Bad drills.
convince people, and that's what we were talking about. You could completely sell someone to putting a helmet on their head and someone throwing a ball in the air and hitting them.
Dude, I've seen that drill. Me and you watched that drill. One of the funniest things, right? We watched that drill. I seen it like a week or two ago. I think I look at this.
Yeah.
Like he literally has a helmet on his head and he's teaching kids to hit the ball with a helmet. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I think you missed out of the drill. Like, I don't even know what you missed. Like,
You're
I
you're
in that
trying to teach a kid to get under the
under
ball,
the ball,
but you're supposed to teach them to run up and catch it above their throwing arm for a
right?
quicker transition,
Not
not
above the head and teach it to get hit.
yeah, where's the kid's glove in the meantime? Like, we've
Right.
seen kids doing it without gloves, just holding on to the helmet, just trying to hit the ball.
I've seen some crazy. I've seen some drills. Even sometimes I'm like, "What are we doing, man? What are we doing?" And
Yeah,
again, I've been doing this a long time. I don't think I know everything, but I think I know a lot. And I don't so much know everything, but I know what's wrong.
yeah. I always say there's a lot of different ways to teach the game. There's people who hold their hands like Euclid up top. There's people like Ricky Weeks that hit down here. They're all trying to get to the same area and come through the zone in a similar fashion. So there's different ways of teaching the game, but there's definitely a wrong way.
Oh, there's such a wrong way sometimes, and especially with like base running and leading and stuff like that. But there's some people that I watch that I'm like, "What are we doing? You shouldn't be coaching." Anybody that knows me, I hate to lose, man. Right? I don't want to lose. I don't ever want to lose a game. So I don't. It's not like when I sit there and say, "Oh, it's about teaching the kids to be a better people." It is, but at the end, I still want to win too.
Hmm.
So I'm teaching them to hate to lose. And I watch some of these coaches that don't understand, and I watch some of these businesses that don't understand it. Like I said, I walked away from a pretty good job that I made good money at, and I didn't have money at the time. And I was like, I'm not being a part of this. I'm not part of somebody who wants me to do lessons with a painter instead of listening to 5 pro baseball guys. One of the funny conversations, man. I still laugh at it. Like,
Yeah.
and when I say that, and I'm not knocking him for being a painter and coaching, I'm knocking for him for not knowing what the hell he's talking about, watching some YouTube videos, and this owner expecting me to listen to him.
Yeah,
Like,
I think he did such a great job selling
you great.
himself as the hitting guy.
He was a. I tell everybody all the time, man. He was so passionate and was 100% convinced he was right. He truly believed it. It wasn't like he was
100%. Yeah,
100%.
he wasn't that's one credit you
He
can
was
give him.
on.
He wasn't faking. He wasn't doing it to make money. He truly thought it was the right way of doing it.
Yep. And so for him, I fault. But what I fault was with that ownership, say, listening to this one guy only instead of 5 professional baseball players that maybe has some perspective,
Ye
on
Yeah,
not everything this. And, that's the business part of this. That's the thing about this business I hate, you know,
yeah.
um, where it's just about money.
Yeah, I
Hey,
think you gotta go in there with the understanding, especially if you're running a place that if you're gonna have multiple hitting coaches, multiple pitching instructors, everyone's gonna be different. I think the idea that you have to have is just these coaches are going to try to find out what's best for your kid. You might have two coaches telling your kid two different things. It's because they're seeing different things, but that's
right.
also baseball. It's like if you teach everyone to hit the same, a lot of people won't be successful.
But that's what bad places do, right? Like a lot of bad places try to teach that certain swing, you know,
Yeah.
other place that tries to teach a certain swing. And when they come to me, I can tell where they played. And I'm like, yeah, but your body's not built like that. You got to do this or this. Every swing is different. I don't teach the same swing to every single person. Everybody's different. Every body moves different.
Yeah,
Again,
that
right, wrong, but
yeah, it's always tough watching someone swing like Aaron Judge, but they're built like a
built like you.
12. Yeah, they're built like me and it's like that doesn't work for the long run.
No,
It
nope.
really doesn't. Like, congratulations, you can hit the ball over a 200-foot fence, but are you gonna develop yourself? And this is for the players that want to develop. Like, you
For
gotta
that
have
love.
fun doing it, but
Yep.
you're gonna have fun. To your point, you're gonna have fun having success in winning, and take the losses and what you can learn from that. That actually builds. You can build off of that.
You can hating to lose is so much better than winning. Again, what did I do wrong? Again, I look back when I coach. All right, I did this wrong. Maybe I should have done this. I still bring up games from 2014 that I pulled a kid that I shouldn't have pulled, say, pitching. I wish I could go back. And again, that's learning baseball. That's learning as a coach. Nowadays, you don't have people like that.
Yeah,
Again,
it's
this is scary. This is scary business.
Yeah.
It's becoming scarier and scarier. Um,
Especially if you care.
and again, it's coming from experience. You got to steal bases. You got to bunt. You got to do this. They don't do any of that stuff nowadays. If you bunt because you got those shirts that say "Don't bunt" and all that, I'll bunt my first 9 batters against you because you can't stop it because no one teaches that. Places don't teach anymore.
Yeah, the programs that is not teaching you how to bunt is also not teaching how to defend the bunt
Well, exactly. I live my
because
life.
you've eliminated the philosophy of it.
You know, I probably score on an average 5 runs a game off of bunts.
Yeah. People can't
'Cause
defend it.
I tell them I'm bunting. I know,
Yeah.
coach, because again, places don't understand it because their coaches don't coach. I blame the coaches.
Yeah, they don't have bunt defenses. They're
Not
not
on you.
teaching pitchers what side they're responsible for. It's just it doesn't happen. And to be fair, I still run into it in a 28 and up. I choose not to bunt because I'm at the age now where like the average doesn't matter to me, so I'm
Right,
just
right.
swinging it. I'm swinging
King
hard in
away.
case I hit it. I'm trying to get my money's worth on these
Yeah,
Sundays.
I want to wings.
Yeah,
You know.
so but man,
Yep.
if I was to bunt in this league, I could bunt probably every at bat
Yeah.
because I'm so used to bunting.
Yeah. It's insane. This is the problem with this business is the coaches don't know how to coach. The biggest problem is the coaches, right? Like there's not enough good coaches and there's not enough young coaches and
That changes year to year.
yeah,
Kids are kids.
kids are kids, man. Kids are
They
kids.
don't know until they're taught. That's the thing of like these kids these days don't want. It's like it's
Not
kind of
that.
on the parents and in the coaches that are teaching them or not teaching them. I think it goes hand in hand. Don't get me wrong, but there's still hard nosed coaches. I mean, that was always said about my generation of like your generation's softer than the one before you. Yeah, maybe, but I'm out here hustling. Butter Brown was out there hustling.
Yep. I mean, again, this is going back, you weren't a dad at the time, but I remember like coming in and yelling at his dad. I looked at him like, dude, if I yelled at my dad like that, I get smacked across the face, right? So, and then his dad said to me, well, kids different. No, no, no. Parents are different.
Yeah,
Parents, and it's worse now. I'll be honest. It's so bad now that it's all of it. It's a good amount of the parents that would just let the kids get away with everything because it's
yeah,
that. It's a difference, and that's where again they come to me, and I'm the same guy I was in 1999. Unfortunately,
yeah.
I'm a 1950s type of guy. I I I we're gonna run, we're gonna work out. You're gonna get yelled at just because I'm from Massachusetts.
Yeah, it's an important thing, like to get yelled at, especially on a baseball field. There's, you can have your fun, but it's important because you need to learn how to differentiate what kind of yelling at you're participating in. It's a big deal because most of the time, if it happens, you start to realize like, oh, that's just baseball yelling at. Like
I
that's just all right. We missed the play. We weren't down. We weren't doing this. Like, you have to learn to differentiate the crap that you're getting because life's going to give you crap whether it's on a baseball field or in the workplace.
that's a big thing. You just hit it right there. That I say all the time. I want to be the toughest coach on these kids. So when they go to college and they get a coach that maybe doesn't love them, like I love them, that they can understand, and they're used to it. Because kids will crumble sometimes. Butter will. You yell at Butter, you might crumble.
Yeah.
I don't know, but kids will crumble sometimes when they disappoint, and
hmm
I want to go tough on them that they don't. When they get yelled at, they're gonna be like, "There's nothing fit Coach Brown."
They yelled at by better.
I mean, that by this guy. Bit flying out, you
yeah.
know? And again, but I love the kids. Not gonna love them.
Yeah.
And I gotta be extra tough on kids that are going to college because, in a lot of ways, their parents aren't prepared for that. They're not preparing them to go to college and play for a guy who doesn't really love them, who just cares about their performance.
It's just not who's paying on time, who's buying lessons. It's like you're all here. Some of you guys are on scholarship, some of you aren't. None of you guys are paying me. It's a different ball game, and I saw that when I went to college because when I went there, everyone my freshman year that was I think even at tryouts had been drafted. I was the only person out of like 100 people at Miami-Dade's tryouts that wasn't drafted. So just looking around and them cutting 13th rounders, that this guy went in the 13th round to the Red Sox last year. And you're doing all the drills and everything. And I'm like, I'm just the guy from Brockton. Like, let's see how this works out. But I was just dogging, you know. I was like, I'm just gonna grind and make my way. But I was so used to being yelled at from certain people that the coach's dry personalities didn't really break me.
Well, you're a youngest of four.
Yeah, so I was just used to being yelled at,
You
and
you used to being yelled at by everybody.
I was getting yelled at by everyone, beat up in the
Right.
house. It was
Exactly.
fine by me. It was it was a normal
You
day.
and that's where nowadays sometimes kids might lack, especially where I coach. Like again, I'm not saying money, but sometimes that gentle parenting doesn't always work, and pay for some of that hard nosed stuff because life's a mother, man. Believe me, I butted the other day, and I said, when you were a kid, it was easy being a dad. I tucked you in at night, gave you a kiss, and I knew you were safe. You get older, man. I sweated. You know,
Hmm.
are you this? Are you that? Are you home safe? It's harder being a dad at 25 than it was when he was 7.
Yeah, yeah.
Tuck him in safe.
As you're growing and aging, and like you said, you have players that are buying houses now, and people that are getting married or having kids, and they're just going through life experiences, and that can be tough to see
Dude, yeah, I mean,
in a good
again,
way. But
it is. You're on some of the group chats, right?
yeah,
We back as dads, especially when you're a dad now yourself, you can see it. When some of those kids talk, you must cringe like I do. You know,
yeah, I do.
like,
Where I'm like,
come on, man, you're so stupid.
yeah, where I'm like, man, come on, you're 24,
You
25. Like, let's
right?
clean it up a little bit.
Well, here you are betting your paycheck on the Red Sox. Say, I mean, there's times where I know I just shake my head, and you got it too, right?
I
As a
do.
dad, you must, right? Because
I do,
you
where I'm like,
know,
man, you should be putting that towards retirement.
right?
Yeah. Like, you don't, what do you mean you don't have a life insurance policy? Oh, man, come on.
you know, when they get as the older they get, the more alarming it gets when they do stupid things. And again, I'll text them separate because some of the stuff is funny, but some of it ain't. Some of it's scary as you get older as a dad.
It it is, man, because you can make decisions that stick.
I never considered myself your dad, but even when you were coming up, like say you did something stupid, I was like, man,
Yeah.
this stupid stuff, man.
Yeah, like, come on, you gotta cut that out.
Like, that stuff ain't funny anymore. I
Yeah.
laugh. It was like I used to tease Kayla all the time with, dude, you better hurry up and get you a ring, right?
Yeah.
It was because again, I felt that it was time for you to settle down and get her a ring. Like, your
Yeah.
time, your baseball career is done. Like, you-
Yeah.
you're
Exactly.
not going to the pros, man. Let's lock down the next set of your life. And now when we talk, it's dude, I gotta get my kids to school.
It's so true, though. Just the different levels you go through at different ages. I mean, you never stop growing. A lot of people think these guys, when they're 17, 18, they think when they're 25, they're going to be millionaires and they got it figured out. Oh, don't worry about me. I'll be all right. Till you're bitting your paycheck on the Red
Right.
Sox. And
You bet your paycheck on the Red Sox. We just lost by 8 runs, you know what I mean? I one of said it the other day.
oh, man.
But it was like even with you were coaching, like I remember us sitting down at Linwood's and I'm like, dude, you're gonna coach from now until you're 30, right? And then you're gonna have a kid, and then you're gonna stop coaching,
Hmm.
right? And you were like, no, no, no. And I'm like, no, because that's when you're gonna calm down and you're gonna have, your weekends are now booked with your family and your kid. And then
Hmm.
maybe it older it changes.
Yeah.
But you're gonna go through that stretch. I watch a lot of your coaches go through it, where you get a guy who coaches for a couple years and then he's got his own life too. Um, where again with me it was a little different where I had Butter, I coached him.
Yeah.
But, you
Yeah.
know, um, you know, I can't wait to get you back into coaching.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, you gotta give I pound that group chat to you guys like
I think about it where I'm like, I'm dealing with it now as a player. The last time I had played in 2019, I wasn't a father. just kind of the perspectives of life is different. Like baseball is baseball, but now baseball is a little bit different because I'm also a father, where when I had played in the past, it's like it's your, your work career, your girlfriend, fiance, wife, and it's baseball. And for me, I can actually play the game because I enjoy playing the game. The wins and losses don't matter. I mean, the competitiveness is still there, but the fact that I get to play with my brother is so much more important than winning.
Right, right.
It's just
We
it's all extra now.
Yeah, like you said a great thing earlier, and I was watching a video of you. And again, you're a role model to me. I watched the video and you said, I wasn't put on this earth to be a baseball player. I was put on this earth to be Coco's dad. And
Yeah.
that's what I am now, right?
Mhm.
And it kind of hit me a little bit when I remember I texted you guys. I'm like, wow, that was pretty cool. That you hit it spot on. I think you guys are amazing parents because you get it. I mean, listen to Kayla's story a little bit because that's something that I'll text Kayla for her birthday and we crack some jokes back and forth and we might talk about a TV show.
Yeah, you guys watch all the shows.
Yeah, we watch the shows and we'll talk about it. And again, we crack some jokes and but to listen to her perspective of mom was pretty cool. And that's the first time I've heard of it because I've heard yours because we talk.
Mhm.
But to see her as a mom was pretty cool. Something I'd never seen her as. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the best parts about it too is the first couple years we were kind of secluded. I know you had COVID going on, we had the autism diagnosis going on, and we were trying to figure a lot of things out, and it was kind of every single day, week, month was completely different, so we were constantly adjusting to everything, but just who she is as a mom is probably the most amazing thing. And the
Mo
communication levels always had to have been there, so she's always held me accountable to make sure I knew everything about Cole as well, but it makes me love her and respect her more as a person because Cole's my favorite person in the world, and you get to watch her mom. It's the best thing in the world. It
Yeah, no, it
really
was
is.
that part of her. I mean, because again, like you just said, Cole was came out during, COVID.
Mhm.
So you disappeared for a little bit. People didn't know. I know I didn't know until like Adrian's when Brian he was like, well, he's got some stuff going on with his kid. And but I just assumed it was COVID, and now to see you raise awareness is pretty, again, buys into that Razorback mentality, which I, would know that that's how you would do it. You're going all in.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew that I had to. There was never a doubt. There was never a denial phase. It was really, okay, it's time to work. It's time to build up and learn and gather as much knowledge and learn him and learn us. And it took a little bit of time to do that because there was so many changes. I mean, just for parents in general, the first couple years, everything's constantly changing. As soon as you think you got the schedule figured out, it changes. It, and that was the same thing for us, where in 2023, we received the diagnosis January 27th, a day after my father's birthday. And a couple months later, he's in ABA. He's in ABA doing therapies and learning all that, and then we're getting him into speech therapy, occupational therapy, and we're just going to his neurologist, and we're trying to gather all of this information as soon as we can. And it's just kind of like this hurricane of gotta do this, gotta get on this list, gotta make these phone calls to the insurance company. And so you kind of disappear so you can learn everything. I was like, I need to become a professional in this. How do I become? And it was that. It was becoming obsessed with learning everything that I could about autism, and learning about Cole's autism. Last year in 2024, I read 19 books. That's what I spent my time doing,
It's
is
funny.
building myself
You
up.
you said that. I mean, you said how you did that. I mean, I got a present for Cole in my closet for Christmas from like 2 years. Again, you kind of off when no one really knew, and it's great to see. Like again, to even just to hear you say, "No, I'm on this world," and this just goes to show how you don't define yourself as a baseball. You don't. I mean, I watched your social medias for a long time was Washington's Nationals, this team, this team. Now it's Coco's dad. But again, this is where baseball's not that important. It's teaching you, like, and tell me if I'm wrong, but you grinding in baseball helped you grind as being a dad. Like, you didn't give up on
100%.
you didn't give up
100%.
you're 5'5", or you're this, or you're that. You're like, all right, you're not. I guarantee no one's telling you the quote unquote like, hey, he's special or he's not normal. You're like, nah, he is who he is, man. I'm living in his world right now. Like,
That's one
you
of
know,
yeah, that's one of the things that Zach had asked me on the podcast, and he's unbelievable. He's so great for the community. Like, we need him to help spread the voices. And that was one of the things of him asking, how do you think the world is today with it? Along those lines. And I was like, I think it's great because it's also with the understanding of like, what's your world? I'm not the guy who flips on the news and judges the world based on the 10 stories they choose to tell. My
exactly.
my news and my world is the people I surround myself with and in the voice that I have and that I can spread. And it took a while to get to that point because you know me, I'm not exactly the most outspoken all the time. I'm kind of an introvert in certain ways, but it was building it up because I was like, I have to in my own right, kind of be the front runner in many ways. I have to be a voice for the dads that don't really speak out about having a child with autism because it doesn't happen all that much. If you go online, like if you're on Instagram and you start looking it up, it's like 99% mothers that are leading the charge, and good for them because they're the only ones who are getting the word out. But then you have the sprinkles of dads. And I knew that for me to get back into the world, it wasn't me talking about my old days in baseball.
Yeah.
Because it's not, and that's one thing I can find out from where I left off with people is how they know me. If they see me as the baseball player, if they see me as the dad, if they see me as the advocate, that's how I'll know where people have left off because I'm not really that baseball player
No,
all
no,
that much.
very rarely do you talk baseball. Like, you don't talk about stories about playing with Hopper or playing with this dude. I mean, your Instagram now is flooded with Coco. It's just all about, you can tell. And that's, again, that's a great thing. It's even from my perspective. Like, again, I grew up with certain things, but I'm aware now of stuff because of you. Like, I was designing a jersey, and you were like, and I asked a question, like, something about the design.
Hmm.
You were like, oh, the puzzle thing is kind of inappropriate. You know what I mean? Like, kind of.
Yes.
So it's,
Yeah.
you spread the weirdness, not in a bad way, and obviously I wasn't making it a thing. Like, I didn't understand it, but you said, you explained it to me, which now I explained to someone else.
Yeah. So the
You know,
general idea of that is a lot of people in the community are back and forth on the puzzle piece because it's like the missing piece, the puzzle doesn't fit, the piece doesn't fit into the puzzle. And it was created initially from a company, and I believe everything's corrected itself, so I don't want to start any controversy with it,
yeah, yeah,
but the symbol was created not from the autism community. It was created from outside people that thought it was a good idea. And then what that company has done since is hire autistic people, and they've kind of changed the course on that. So a lot of people have gone with the infinity rainbow as kind of the representative symbol for autism. Now, for me personally, I think whether it's the autism puzzle piece or the infinity rainbow, it doesn't bother me so much because getting the awareness and acceptance is the biggest thing.
it's more important.
And
Exactly.
Zach talks about it too. He's like, are you caught up on the language? I'm like, I'm really not, because if someone knows the difference of asking me, do you prefer to call him autistic or a child with autism? The fact that you're aware of that means you've had to have at least heard it or have done a little bit of research. And I'm like, I'm not someone who's caught up on all the language of anything. I just want to talk.
But, well, I don't know if you remember, we had a conversation a while ago, and I was asking questions, and I go, hey, I don't want to, and we were texting, which makes it even worse.
Yeah, yeah.
I, just so you know, and I knew you knew me well enough, this is coming from not understanding and wanting to understand, but just not, again, I didn't deal with it. So wanting to understand, so I'm asking questions, and to be able to say it to somebody and understand it and you talk about it is a big thing. I don't want to say it's changed me as a person, but I think I'm more empathetic sometimes. Empathy and I watch the jokes sometimes where I didn't mean them in a bad way, sometimes with jokes, but it's definitely taught me more.
Yeah,
See,
me and Kayla branched out, and one of my favorite comedians is Theo Vaughn.
oh yeah,
Um, and he has a couple of autistic and autism jokes. Now, he's one of the comedians who's very, like, pro. He's like, "Man, all aliens are autistic because 'cause they're all smart." Like, so
yeah,
he doesn't say anything harmful that I know of anyone in the community that gets offended.
yeah, yeah,
But I actually asked Caleb before we went, I'm like, "Are you ready to hear a comedian that might talk about it in a negative light? Because it's something we've never had to consider." Like, you might hear people, say certain things out in public. I don't really take too much of offense to certain things. And one of the things I say too, in just the scale of life is like, never take to heart the criticisms from someone you wouldn't seek advice from.
right, right.
So you can almost say whatever you want. I'm not just gonna up and fight you. I'm not that same kid I was in Brockton, 20 years ago.
Softer,
Yeah. So for me, it's like, if I posted on Instagram, I'm like, just ask. Don't worry about wording the question so properly. You don't, like, and no one in the community should be offended by that. I think if someone wants to ask a couple questions, and because as a coach, you might run into that with players, siblings of players, parents that they might have. You're gonna run into it. So let's open up the floor, talk about it. Let people make mistakes with how they word certain things, and if you want to correct them, do it. But I like
we
the awareness of it.
the awareness of it. Again, it's just teaching, right? It's like I know a couple kids, and again, talking about Butter a little bit, he has a kid on his team, or had a kid that is on the spectrum, so to speak, and being aware, like if the kid's not weird, right? Like he's just different. Like he learns different than that's the thing where I think one of the most impressive things of you is not the fact that you played professional baseball, because like at the end of the day, that's proud of you. But watching you as a dad and watching Taylor as a mom is probably your biggest accomplishment. Watching you
Yeah.
guys, watching you guys jump into being parents, because let's face it. I mean, I guarantee 10 years ago, everybody was talking about Chris's kid being the next professional baseball player.
Yeah, that was always a thing. And no, you're 100% right. I open up on social media every once in a while, and I'll put in the stories or something like, "Ask me a question. Ask me a question, I'll answer." And I thought about making a segment on this too, and a lot of people have asked that, like, have people ever asked you if you thought that was the case, and how do you kind of perceive it now, having, an autistic kid? And one of the things I've addressed is right before Cole was born, I came to terms with not caring if he played baseball or not. Yeah, it was like I made peace with it, because initially we were going to name Cole Christopher. He was going to be my junior. And I had always said that, like, he's going to be the second. He's going to follow in my footsteps. He's going to play the game better than I did. And then I got over it because Kayla wanted the name Cole. So I remember one day I referred to him as Cole, and she smiled because she knew. And I was like, "You're the one carrying him. I don't have the right to name him." And that was just my philosophy at that moment. It's not a knock to anyone, but I made my peace with it before any of it. And I think it was kind of a decision that I needed to make for me as a parent, to say, don't put your expectations on a kid that's not even here yet.
I remember she might have been like seventh, pregnant, and we were probably joking about the baseball. And you're like, dude, I hope my kid doesn't play baseball, to be honest. Too much pressure. You know what I
It
mean?
is. It
He had
is.
pressure. But
I want him to be a good person. Kind of just the same things you talk about. Just be a good person. That's all I want. And now I still want him to be a good person, be healthy, be happy, and just know that we're always here for him. And we're at the point now where he can live with us when he's 30, 40, 50. I hope I live to see that because my outlook has changed as a father and as a person as well. So those are all things that you constantly develop. And I say it all the time. I've never been the father of a 5-year-old. So we'll see what happens December 7th, you know?
yeah, I tell Butter all the time, there's no book on being a dad. There really isn't. I'm learning this as you go. So there's been times where I've kind of yelled at him and come down on him a little hard and then realized maybe I was wrong. And I'm like, Butter, there's no book, man. I make mistakes too. You know, being a dad is hard. And it's hard no matter what, right?
It is. It is.
But it was really, really impressive today hearing about Kayla and stuff because again, you don't really talk about that. You don't really talk about, at least to us, to the group chat.
Well, to be honest, I've never really staged. I'm careful with what I post too. So I don't post Cole's troubles. So when people see the pictures and maybe hear some of the podcasts, you'll hear some of the joys, but you won't see the struggles because I never want to put him in that light where I'm kind of exposing those most vulnerable and tougher moments. Those are for me and Kayla to
Just I wouldn't expose Butter's tough moments
exactly.
as a parent. When,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
his his Instagrams and stuff, it's always the great things
yeah,
uh, with it, not just the hard things. The hard things are family things. As family are going to deal
exactly.
with, not for the public.
Yeah. You got to work those things out in time. And maybe that time changes where I end up sharing a little more. I know we're both on the same page. Like we don't overly share everything. I share as much as I feel that I need to create awareness and keep the people around me because there's been a long time where friends and stuff didn't ask me because I've had friends tell me like, I just didn't know what to say. Like,
Yeah.
how do I approach you and say, "Hey, we haven't talked in, a year, but I know what's going on and I haven't said anything." I'm like, "There's no one to blame for that."
No,
Like
and
we
that's why, yeah, you just nailed it. Like, again, during COVID, I ran into Brian at a wedding and I was kind of like, "Where's Chris? Why isn't he?" And Brian's didn't go into it. I knew some stuff, but here I am. I knew you weren't mad at anybody.
no, I loved everyone and I wish I could have been there. Our schedules are a little bit different and with Cole, and here's the thing with Cole too is you can't just have anyone watch him. So, I mean, even now there's certain baseball games if I have on Sunday and Kayla's not home, you can't just drop him off somewhere for 8 hours. Even with the closest family, you would want to, but you know how tough it can be. Those are things you try to keep in mind because you don't want to put him in that situation. You don't want to put the people watching him in that situation. And you start to make sacrifices to be smart for the better of everyone. And that's, in my mind, that's a mature thing to do. And it's not what everyone will see, but I've never really needed everyone to see it. I always 100% try to make whatever decision is best for Cole,
But you've
you know?
you've done life. I think sometimes with the baseball stuff has helped you be this better dad. Maybe with again, You've always had a long term focus, and you never really cared what people thought, anyways. That didn't
Yeah.
matter for you.
Yeah.
You cared about the people. Like you've always cared about Brian's opinion and your mom, and like you cared about people that were close to his opinion. You
Mhm.
never cared about Joe Schmo's opinion.
Yeah, there's a lot of opinions out there, and they're valued and they're good. They mean something to somebody, but as we talked about with the coaching situation earlier, not everybody's opinion is your truth. I think when you can fully come to accept that, then you can even appreciate the opinions of you that are bad coming from someone else because you can always look at it from the high road of like, yeah, I mean, if I was in your shoes, I'd probably think that too. you know, I have that joke with people like, "Oh, you're so dumb." It's like, yeah, you're probably right. I'm not so worried about
You
most
know,
of the stuff that happens.
it's great to watch you coach. It's even better to watch you be a dad. You know, and to watch you smile. I've known you for a long time. I don't think I've ever seen you smile like you do when you talk about your kid. You know,
Oh,
never.
yeah, he gets me.
He doesn't
That's my true
get,
weakness.
you know,
It
and
is.
it is. It's mine too. Like again,
Yeah,
all the things accomplished in life, right? The happiest thing I am is about butter, right? Not about everything, not about baseball, not about about him being a good kid, him being happy, and that's all I want.
yeah,
So it's for you with your son, you know, but watching you smile with him is amazing. That's why I don't
yeah,
blame for not coaching, even though
yeah,
I
yeah,
back trying to get you back.
yeah. I'm gonna get back into the world of coaching at some point in time, and it's happening. This is the first year playing baseball. I'm doing the podcast now, getting to spend some time. And my truthful joke about the podcast is I'm selfishly doing it just to have conversations with people I like. So
But
the trick is I just got you for 2 hours.
and it like it's awesome. I love it. Like I said, I watched the one. I'm halfway during it of you on another podcast today just to see you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have that. Like we used to have that every day. You know,
Yeah,
ev-
yeah. Every day, you talking 10
every
hours on 10 hours Saturday, 10 hours Sunday?
I miss that. You know, and it was the great pod.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't trade it. I love you being a dad. I love you doing this stuff, and again, even again, being a role model to new people in a new society, in a new what's the word I'm looking for? Like a new
Community, essentially.
community, right? Like
Yeah.
you're not just Chris baseball player, which I'm proud of. I brag about you all the time. I still show that video of you,
Yeah.
but I've been posting this for like 2 weeks now, telling
Yeah.
people to watch. Because again, I want people to understand, that second part of you that maybe to understand it would stop someone from teasing someone or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can even see it sometimes if you go to the store. People will tend to look at you a little different if they see your son stimming, and for me, it doesn't. I had to go through the waves of emotions with that.
Yeah.
Um, but
What is
for
stim?
So stimming is stimulation. So it's for a lot of autistic kids, it's like them flapping their hands, them doing little things consistently in a sequence that help stabilize their body and stimulate them to help keep them calm in certain situations. So for him, he might have like what would look like the jitters and stuff like that. You know it when you see it because it's a little different.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, I'm so used to it at this point in time. But you're reminded sometimes if you do go out in public and it happens and people stare or look confused, and that doesn't even bother me. Maybe initially because you're fighting to say like what are you staring at? But for me it's like you don't see it every day. Probably is a little different for you. That's fine. And if someone wants to ask, I would love to open up a conversation about it, but I don't really get mad at people. It's not part of their lives. It's
Yeah.
like if someone walks up to me and they're like, "Why do you like baseball? It's so dumb." I'm like, "Yeah, you're probably right. Like it doesn't make sense to you, and that's fine."
Yep. No, I mean, my cousin Bobby who was in the wheelchair.
Mhm.
Not same thing in a lot of ways. I would be pushing him out in public or something like that, and he would have a comment or say something. I remember his brothers getting mad, and I remember saying to Nick and Ray, like, they just don't know. They don't understand. That little kid pointing doesn't understand why he's in a wheelchair. Don't get mad.